So it's 7:05 in the morning. Rich has got me up early so that we can get to the Plitvice National Park because it's a really gorgeous day. It's going to be 29 degrees later and it is going to be rammed.
We are so excited. When we were first planning this trip, it was one of the first things on our bucket list and we just can't wait to get going. So we are gonna do the long walk, which we think, is it about 18k?
I think so.
Around the whole of the national park. By getting in at 7, I think we're ahead of the crowds and hopefully we'll stay ahead of the crowd. So catch you later. I'm just going to be really nerdy now and do my David Attenborough moment. If you just listen, it's the frogs.
So we've walked for about an hour and a half and we are about 4 kilometres from the car park and we literally have the park to ourselves. It is so quiet, apart from the frogs and the birds, it's beautiful. We were really worried that it was going to be too hot and that we were going to get frazzled today, but actually we've walked mainly through dappled forest all the way round, right up to the lakeside, so hopefully it'll stay that way for the rest of the day. We've got another 14 kilometres to go, but it's actually really pleasant at the moment. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and I think we've got another kilometre to go until the next waterfalls, so I think we might hit quite a crowd there. As you can see, it was absolutely stunning at the Plitvice National Park. We had the most amazing day. We chose to do the long hike and we did over 18 kilometres, but actually most of it was in shade, so it was pretty reasonable walking around. Some of the lakes, the colours of the blues of the lakes and the reflections of the mountains, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, we just kept pinching ourselves all day because it just seemed to be just an absolute mix of blues and vivid greens and a mind-blowing experience. And, you know, we're not saying that lightly because we absolutely had a blast, and we had our reservations beforehand, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It was really expensive to get in. It was €40 per person, and we had to pay €15 parking for the campervan. And we were a bit like, ooh, that's a lot of money out of our budget. But we definitely, after doing the walk around it, reflected that it was worth it. There was a lot of infrastructure that they put in, a lot of boardwalks, so you could go around the lakes and see more of the really pretty views.
But it was a long old day and it was really tiring on the legs, and I am quite happy to admit that I was pretty broken at the end of it. So we came back to this lovely campsite we're staying on, and we just spent the afternoon pootling around the pool, soaking our weary feet and generally getting cooked by the sun.
There is plenty of choice of campsites up and down the valley to get into the Plitvice National Park, but we chose this campsite mainly because we could get to stay for €25 with our ASCII card. So being the Yorkshire people that we are, that was the bargain. But we definitely think we chose well.
The campsite is absolutely beautiful, and like a lot of the Croatian sites we've stayed on, probably standard-wise way above what we would expect from other European campsites.
I think if you were to stay here without your ASCII card, it's still only about €40, which still seems really good value to us. It's actually a bit of a holiday village, so it's got all these beautiful little tree houses and really nice little chalets. It's very well thought out.
The pool complex is amazing. It's like a terraced pool with sort of infinity areas, and it goes down to a poolside bar. It's really popular in the afternoon. It does get hot down there, but yeah, something that is a touch of luxury that we're not used to.
I was going to say, for two people that are sort of used to wild camping or just going to the bargain basement campsites in the UK, we feel like we've been really treated in Croatia. Some of the campsites we've stayed at for really reasonable prices with our ASCII card have been amazing. Sadly, if you're travelling in the height of summer, the cost of some of these sites just ramps up.
Other nice touches on the campsite include a dog agility area, a wellness suite. We, one evening, walked through the sort of laked, gladed area where the tree houses and the lakeside cabins are, and were serenaded by croaking frogs. There are the local cats that always like to pop in and see what's cooking for tea.
Yeah, we've had a great time. There's a couple of options to get to the national park from most of the campsites. There is a bus route that goes through that picks you up at around 9 o'clock in the morning. For us, we wanted to get there at 7 o'clock. We'd booked one of the earliest tickets that you can get, so we did have to drive. Great setup with the car parks. It was €15 to park. It's just something you can't avoid, really.
Technically, you don't have to book tickets in advance. You can buy them on the gates, but all the advice that we'd seen was that it's best to get a ticket online. And the tickets are available in 1 hour time slots that are time-stamped. So we booked a 7 o'clock ticket that was valid until 8 o'clock in the morning. The online system was pretty easy to navigate. It's €40 a person, and they email you your tickets, which just have a QR code on them that gets scanned at the gate.
So as we said, we decided that we wanted to be there really early at 7 in the morning for a couple of reasons, really. We wanted to avoid the main crowds so that we knew we were going to hike and we would always be ahead of where the crowds were, and that worked really well. We pretty much had the park to ourselves. There was maybe 3 or 4 other people walking around with us. The other thing is the heat of the day. We are now at the beginning of June. It did get up to 27 degrees later in the afternoon. It is very shaded, but it was still really warm, and we wanted to just be in and out before the height of the heat of the day.
On the flip side of that, having seen it from early morning till mid-afternoon, we did feel that the light conditions, if you're into your photography, were considerably better in the afternoon. More of the vistas were lit up by the direction of the sun, and it was probably better for photography in the afternoon, but you did notice a huge difference in terms of the busyness of the resort.
I think the timing of when you would visit the national park is probably quite important. We were there in June. It was hot and it was quite busy, and that only increases as you go into the high season, and I can't imagine what that would be like. I think probably May, June would be a really good time, or later in September, where you might not have as many of the crowds and it's just a bit of a better temperature. So a few tips about getting around the park. Wear comfortable shoes. We wore our hiking shoes because we knew we were going to do the 18-kilometre trail, but we did see quite a few people in flip-flops and sandals, and they did look like they had sore feet. It's really quite rough underfoot if you're not on the boardwalks. There's lots of tree roots and it's a bit gravelly. So yeah, just be prepared.
There are loads of different routes for whatever people would want to get out of the park. So they range from a 1 kilometre loop up to the 18-kilometre loop. And there are endless opportunities to pick up new trails. And to be honest, we got lost on a number of occasions. And that was fine because you weren't too far from the next signpost and it always pointed you in the right direction. So it's quite easy to navigate.
And if you don't want to do a lot of walking, there is a really pretty ferry that you can get across the lake, and you can do that as many times as you want with your ticket. And there is a bus that will also take you around through the forests, so you don't have to do as much walking as we did.
So that's it from us. Would we recommend the Plitvice National Park for anyone else?
Definitely. It was on our bucket list from last time we came to Croatia, and I'm really glad we did it. Even though it was quite expensive, it's one of our treats of this holiday. I would do it again.
So that's it from us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.